A special meeting of City Council to order for Tuesday, July 7th. First item on our business, new councillor business. Anyone? Councillor Rogers?
Just a reminder to the citizens and everybody that the Dawson Creek Music Festival will be going on this weekend. And Your Worship, I was to ask you if you would like to be involved in going into the dunk tank. That's where you sit on a board and people throw balls and sink you. If you'd be interested in that.
One of my favorite things to do in life.
Yeah, well, I actually...
I've been waiting for the invitation.
I'm roped in as well, so... So there, Jeremy, I talked to him last night, and he's getting very excited about it. Everything seems to be coming together. And there's a couple of things that I was going to talk to staff about, but I can do that later.
Okay.
And we also have the Mile Zero cruisers as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be absolutely. Just let me know time and place, and I'll be there.
Okay, sounds like it's going to be a busy weekend downtown anyways, which is great.
Yeah, it's a great weekend. Thank you. Any other new councillor business? Councillor Wilbur?
Just one little thing that came up during the multiculturalism day that they had in setting up. And I guess through you to staff, I guess we have like a little sheet that we give to groups when they're closing downtown or blocking off the traffic. And I think maybe we should add a little note that says you need to have signs that say road closed that they put out, because I spent an hour and a half while they were setting up trying to redirect traffic and trying to get signs out there to do that. So I was able to get, and thanks to B. Rutledge, she brought down extra barricades and stuff, and we were able to direct that traffic. But people come right up to the Mile Zero post and all of a sudden it's barricaded off and they don't have any notice or warning that the road's closed. So maybe just a little note in there, like everything else was in there, but that was just obviously not self-explanatory in setting up that you're blocking off the road. So if we just a little helpful note that we could put in there for people blocking off downtown.
See administration made or no?
You bet, Your Worship.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other new councillor business? Item 3, reports. 3.1, we have report number 15121 from the Director of Infrastructure regarding request for quotations for a backtrack. Councillor Parslow?
I'd like to move that report 15121 from the Director of Infrastructure, we request for quotations 2015-31 back truck be received. Further, that staff be authorized to purchase one 2015 Bactra combination catch basin sewer cleaner hydro excavator with international chassis from Weimar Equipment for $319,086.88 plus $8,248.80 for options, for a grand total of $327,335.68 including taxes.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Rogers. Discussion. Approved through the capital budget for 2015. And Jim, the equipment pool, is there funding through there as well, or is it just through capital?
No, it's through the equipment pool that these purchases are funded, Your Worship. So how that works is each hour that this machine works will be billed to that job. It will be budgeted, so as it works hours, we build up a replacement fund. Council went to the equipment pool format in the 80s sometime, and it has been a godsend.
Yeah. So this is fully the capital is fully...
This is actually what, you know, soon enough in the tangible capital assets plan, we'll be recommending you do with everything.
Yeah.
You bill yourself as you go for the replacement cost.
Yeah. So this is it's in the fund, in the pool. It's not a borrowing that we go through.
No, it's been paid for basically by operations over the years.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. 3.2, we have report number 15122 from the Director of Infrastructure regarding a 2010 road water main extension tender. Councillor McFadden?
I'll move that report 15-122 from the Director of Infrastructure regarding 210 road water main extension be received. Further, that council award the contract for the 210 water main extension to Good Brothers Construction 2002 Limited for the bid price of $661,006.50.
Thank you. Seconded. Counselor Wilbur, discussion? Counselor McFadden?
I don't know if I've heard of these Good Brothers before. Are they a local company or who are they?
I'll kick that over to Sean, Your Worship.
They're an Alberta-based company around the Grimshaw, Peace River area. They have worked for us in the past.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Further questions, comments? This was a capital budget item, and good morning. And it was originally engineered estimates of $1 million that we'd approved, and so come in about $330,000 below the budgeted amount, so good. Thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor? Opposed?
Sorry, I don't know what we're voting on.
Item 3.3, we have a report number 15123 from the Deputy Director of Community Services regarding contract insurance for community services.
Sure, I'll make the
Councillor
motion.
Wilbur?
I'll make the motion on report
There's
number
only cost
15-123 from the Deputy Director of Community Services regarding the contract instructor insurance community services be received. Further, that staff be directed to submit an application to the Municipal Insurance Association of British Columbia requesting liability insurance for contracted instructors delivering service on behalf of the City of Dawson Creek, and further that staff be authorized to enter into the attached community service recreation instructor service provider agreement.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Councillor Rogers?
I was just wondering, how many kids actually go through that program every year?
Pass that through to administration, to Duncan.
Either
Jerry?
of you guys have any?
Yeah, I mean, we
figures
run
on
a
it?
number of programs. There's hundreds of children who go through our programs in the summer. This would cover almost all of our programs that we run from May till September. Probably.
Yeah, I was more wondering about how many people actually do go through the whole program. I was just wondering about a few numbers, like how many citizens are actually using it.
Yeah, we can pull those numbers and provide them to town.
Councillor Wilbur?
I was just gonna say, I know that if you don't register right off the bat when that community magazine comes out, you're not getting your kid in any program over the summer. They fill up really quickly. Yeah.
And this insurance provides, this contract provides us the ability to provide the insurance to those instructors that are assisting with the programs. So it's a great option to be able to have that ability to do that through MIAs.
Yeah, I would assume that it would make it a lot easier on the people that are running the
Yeah, I
program
think
as well.
Good.
Through your worship, also ultimately on ourselves, because we run these programs with contractors, and we don't run them unless we have enough registration to pay for the costs of the contractors. But we haven't been providing insurance. It's been up to the individual, and in the event that they don't secure sufficient insurance, as you're well aware, any litigant will fine the city anyway.
Yeah.
So it's far better for us to roll them under this program.
Yeah, the civil litigation world isn't who's done what wrong, it's who's got the ability to pay. So yeah, it's a great option for us to be able to provide that for our folks that are working for us. Thank you. Any further questions? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Report 3.4, we have report number 15124 from the Deputy Director of Community Services regarding the art gallery renovations. Councillor Schumann?
Move report number 15124 from the Deputy Director of Community Service regarding the art gallery renovations be received for the council award invitation for bids 2015-27 to Bear Mountain Construction Limited for the lump sum price of $1,074,000.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor McFadden, discussion? Councillor McFadden?
When will this project get started now, and what's the completion? A couple of years to get it completely done, or?
We sure hope not, but again,
think it
kick that
says
over to
for-
Or, but it won't be done in this construction season, or finished?
Upon award, in talking with Doug Keith from Bear Mountain,
Yeah.
he believes he can start in 3 weeks upon award. So that would put you at the end of July, call it, and he believes it'll be a 4-month construction period. So he hopes to be able to complete it by the end of November.
Yeah, weather permitting, he could Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilbur?
Just some of the comments there that were made in the report regarding the roof shingles, and through you to staff, how much life do we think is expected in those roofing shingles?
So through you, your worship, the shingles are not at the end of their lifespan, but they're in the latter half of their life. So this is an attractive bid at $1 million, and you have $1.4 million in the budget, and a perfectly reasonable thing for you to do is to replace those shingles at the same time, because as you know, this is a disruptive project that closes the art gallery and it restricts the parking lot, and you might not want to do that again in 5 to 7 years, if we get lucky, or 3 years if there's big winds. So you could do that. We've recommended leaving as much contingency as possible, because not all our projects have gone exactly well in the last few years, and contingency is a good thing to have, but we certainly understand why you might want to reduce the contingency by adding the shingles.
Councillor Parslow, then Councillor Rogers?
Yeah, I was thinking that it might be an idea. I'd like to hear staff's opinion about this. I certainly understand the need for contingencies. Would it not perhaps be more cost effective if we did it all at once? I'm thinking of all the scaffolding time, maybe other things necessary to do that. Sort of reminds me of that, the road, you know, by the soccer fields. We were going to gravel it, and then we paved it so that eventually that's what we wanted to do. So would it be something we should think about from the cost effectiveness side, as well as avoiding a further disruption to the art gallery? So just any further comments?
So through your worship, it will certainly be less expensive to do it now in conjunction with this work. That's a different matter than whether we have the money to do it now or not. You do have the money, but you'll be reducing your contingency to about $200,000 on a 1.2, which is notionally sufficient, but this is a building where there might be some surprises.
Yeah.
Councillor Rogers?
Well, that's what I was going to mention about the cost effectiveness of it. And they're going to be starting working on that project from the bottom up. Is there any way we could say, when they get near the top, if there's nothing that has caused them to go over budget or anything like that, or there hasn't been a whole bunch of extras that are incurred, and once they get to the top, if everything's going according to plan, could we not say at that point, okay, let's look at it again, and then go ahead and do the roof, just to kind of keep the roof on a back burner, sort of a deal? Can we do that?
To your worship, a couple problems with that. The first is the materials, which have to be ordered and brought in. And secondly, exactly the efficiency is because the contractor plans it into his work. So the price that they've quoted is if we give them the go decision now. If we don't give them the go decision now, then it's an extra, and it'll be priced as an extra.
Councillor Parslow?
I'd like to amend the motion to include the roofing component as detailed in this report.
Thank you.
I'll
Seconded,
second
Councillor
that
Wilbur.
motion.
Discussion on the amendment? So the amendment is that we will increase the tender to $1,074,000 plus $213,000 for the shingles, which would get us to $1,290,000 basically. Councillor Parslow?
Yeah, I respect the administration's concern about contingency and such, but I do believe that with the signing bonus, we maybe have some unallocated funds there. I know we've allocated some of it,
Yeah.
but I think to avoid further disruption to the art gallery in 5 years, let's say, and to maybe save possible money, I'd be prepared to take the risk of having to find some more money because of unforeseen circumstances.
Sure. Councillor Rogers, then Councillor Wilbur.
I'm just a little concerned about the risk. Regarding the foundation, I haven't heard much about the foundation. Like, I just worry about, there's a bunch of things that we haven't seen yet. And my main concern would be that something will come up where there's gonna be an extra before we get to the end of it. I'd be more comfortable in maybe possibly having a discussion, have staff have a discussion with Bear Mountain Construction, and just say, okay, if we got partway through it, would the price stay the same? Like, maybe I'd like to see us actually have an option of doing it or not. I just think the risk with that building, because of there's potential problems with the foundation, I don't want to see any project go over budget. So if there would be any chance of having a discussion with Mr. Keith regarding, okay, we'd like to put the roof in, but if things come up that it goes over budget, we could do have the option of taking the roof out. Throughout the scope of the work of this project, it's going to take them a few months to do it. I'm pretty sure it's not going to take 2 months to get the roofing materials here or anything like that. I think part of that would be maybe we could have a discussion with Doug.
Thank you. Councillor Wilbur?
Well, yeah, I second the motion because I agree with Councillor Parzell, and I think that we need to make the decision now and move ahead so the contractor can get started. And as Councillor Parzell mentioned, there is some money there that we haven't allocated that if we need it, it's there and we could use it. But I think that it would cost way more than $213,000 down the road to put that out to tender, redo the scaffolding, the lift, and all of that stuff. I think it's going to cost us way more money. And I just think if we do it now, it's done, and that's one more project that we can check off our list, and we can move on to other stuff that needs to be done. It has to be done, and I don't think in 5 years of going through, shutting down the art gallery, moving all the stuff, making it feasible for them to still sell the wares that they do in there. I mean, it's just not, to me, it's not worth it. In the end, I think it's more cost effective to do it now, and that we plan with some of that unallocated money that may be what we need to hold back and have it available if we need it for anything that comes up. I just think it's better to do it all now than incur greater expense later because we didn't do it.
Councillor Parslow?
I'm sitting here under the impression that the foundations are repairable. They've studied it, so I'd like to flip that to staff because I seem to recall some comments made by Duncan to council about the condition of the foundations. So, any comments?
Through your worship, foundation is a flattering term to use in this instance, and possibly not an accurate one. And it's not where the greatest risks are. There is no intention that this project could jack the building up and replace a foundation under it. What we're talking about is an injection into to stabilize areas that are visibly shifting. And so we will be doing what injections we can do. The big risk in this project is that when the siding comes off, what's underneath it needs replacing. That's actually where the extra work would come from rather than the foundation. The foundation's kind of a fixed amount. We can't do much to monkey with that foundation.
Yeah, it would seem to me that deterioration occurring underneath that siding to some of the structural wood, and that there may not be anything to nail to, and I think that to me would be what I would be worried about more than
come from
underneath. But I also believe that if we're going to do it, I don't want to see them putting that scaffolding back up twice. I would think we're going to be into a significant, I don't know how much it would be, but I would think it'd be a fair whack of dough to get that done again. So I'd rather get it done now and try and minimize the impact of the future, and then also get the roof replaced, because if something happens to it and it starts to leak or blows off, you just got all kinds of other options, other risks that then happen. So, Councillor Roger?
Yeah, I agree with what council has been saying about replacing the roof. I do agree with that. I would still like to have the option of saying, no, we're gonna take the roof out of it if this project starts to go over. I'd like to have that option to say, well, we can't afford to do the roof, so let's just not do it. Because like, I believe the construction of a granary or an elevator, it's like, it's just 2x6s all piled flat on top of each other, and if a portion of that is rotted out, that's gonna be a significant amount of work to replace part of that structure, if that's what it comes down to. I've done it before myself, where we'll say to people, okay, we're gonna do this contract for you. If it starts to look like it's gonna go over, we're gonna take something out of it. So I'd like to have the option of being able to say, partway through the project, okay, we've ran into some problems, we're running into cost overruns, we know that we have $200,000 plus to do the roof, maybe we'll just take that $200,000 out and carry on, and we'll look at it doing it at a later date.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Question?
Further question on the motion, on the amendment? Jim, first?
Perhaps you, before you vote, I need to make it clear that this bid supposes, both bids in fact suppose, the art gallery is going to be totally closed. There's going to be no access throughout the project, and at least half of the parking lot is going to be secure work site. That's what both bid. Anything over and above that, the council wished to do is going to lead to a negotiation on change of scope. I don't advise you do that. I don't mean this in any way in a pejorative sense, but Mr. Keith and Bear Mountain Construction, their professional judgment is that when you are working for particularly elected boards, Northern Lights College, Co-op, City of Dawson Creek, scope changes can sometimes happen for political reasons, and so they bid that in. Mr. Keith's bid on the existing scope of work is very attractive, very aggressive bid, hoping to get the work. His price for extra work is 4 times higher than Hagee's. His professional judgment is that you will likely change scope for political reasons, and that will be financially advantageous to him. That's what he's betting on. I hope you don't do that, because it's hard to control the budget if you do that.
Thank you. Councillor Rogers?
I know the question was called, and I still think that there's a lot more to talk about here. Not a lot, but there is stuff to talk about. And that was regarding the 200 plus or up to 200 tourists that are on that site a day, and those aren't my numbers, those are from the museum numbers when they were here doing their presentation, asking for a temporary trailer to be installed on site. We haven't talked about that, we haven't addressed that. So I'd like to know, since the presentation from the museum people regarding wanting a trailer on site, has there been any coordination for that? Is that trailer gonna happen during the
That was just
phase
what I
of
was saying, Your
construction?
Worship. There's nothing
Yeah.
in here about that.
No.
We have had a discussion with the low bid on that. Your extra bill there is probably in the neighborhood of $100,000. I don't advise you do that. It's the same argument as the arenas. Yes, it's disruptive to lose a few months. This is a 30-year project, just like the arena. Sometimes you have to live with disruption in order to get long-term outcomes, and I think that's what you should do in this case. If, in the alternative, you're worried about the revenue for the Art Society, you are way better off to make a cash payment to them than to negotiate extras under this scope
That's
of
right.
work.
Yep.
Thank you. So I'm going to allow a little discretion, even though we've had questions. So
Sorry.
Uh,
So sorry.
Schumann and Parcel.
Yeah, so $100,000 to allow the art gallery to put a trailer somewhere over near the museum. How does that add an extra $100,000 to the deal? Like, if they were taking care of the trailer, like, how does it where does that 100 grand come from, Jim?
Well,
Just-
when you're changing scope,
How
it's
are
pretty
we,
much what the contractor says it will cost.
but I'm
This is how we
confused.
come over on public projects.
I'm confused.
Well,
The scope, if the art gallery is taking care of the trailer over somewhere where the construction isn't, how does that add 100 grand? I'm confused.
The contractor gets to price his risk. So it's a contained work site that he is responsible. This is a very risky project. You're talking about swing platforms on a massively high building. The bid accounts for all of that, but it accounts for the contractor being in total control of the site. If you're going to give part of the work site back to the art gallery and not to the contractor gets to price his risk on that. I'm talking about the extra bill from the contractor. I'm not even beginning to talk about you also paying for a trailer or hooking it up temporarily to water and sewer and all that. I'm just telling you, you'll be far cheaper off to give a cash grant to replace lost revenue. Far, far, far cheaper, if that's what your will is. Another thing to do is to simply say, for 30 years, 2 months of disruption or 4 months of disruption is gonna have to happen.
Councillor Parslow?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we have a tenant here. Maybe I'm using technically the wrong language, but my headspace is a tenant. A group that performs a function on behalf of the city. That's why they get a fee for service. I'm agreeing with staff very strongly that I think it would be less costly to look at the lost revenue for the art gallery because of this once every 30 years disruption, or because we all want the art gallery to be as strong as it would normally be, as if they had a full opportunity of summer visitors, which they're not going to have now, but as a result of this necessary work, that we don't put the art gallery in a financial straitjacket. So I think we need to entertain what staff has suggested, but that could be something that staff could report back on later, perhaps after they've had some discussion with art gallery people.
And being guided by administration, and if that's not the will, and the will is that we want to change the scope of the tender, then let's table this, go back to tender and say, okay, we want it can't be a secure site, it needs to be a site that allows still for access. And does that change then the bids from the proponents? Councillor Wilbur?
Well, my concern is too, then if we change that scope, we may not have anybody bidding on it because it's a high-risk area, given the height of the building and dealing with the railway traffic. And I think we have other options that we can move forward with after a decision to help the art gallery, and it's probably not that location, but I think there's other options available for them, and we can have that conversation with them. But I think as far as securing the life of this building and having it for future generations, we need to make this decision and move forward with what we have, and then we'll have to work with the art gallery and the people there to help them with that loss, whatever it be. But I think that they themselves probably, and anyone can tell me later if I'm wrong, but I think they'd rather have a bit of interruption right now than have it be something that's ongoing, because it's constant repairs and stuff on the building. So I think we have to move ahead, and I think we can work with the art gallery and its staff and the board and stuff moving forward on how maybe we could help them.
So a question was called on the amendment to the motion, which was to add the $213,000 to the tender for the roofing. So a question was called. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. And on the main motion of awarding the tender to Bear Mountain Construction of $1,074,000, are you ready for the question? Mm-hmm. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you.
Can I make an additional
Sure.
motion?
Yep.
That we ask staff to meet with the art gallery to determine, after the construction is over, what revenue losses there have been, and then we can bring that back to council for consideration.
Thank you. So first to Jim before I ask for a second.
So, I don't know, Council Parsons was actually positioned to know better than I, but I don't know if the Art Society is in a position where they can wait until after the disruption for support, or whether their circumstances would more require a commitment up front. So maybe don't
So
limit
maybe
to
to me and administration, if we have, if it's all right with council, that the mayor and administration will meet with representatives of the art gallery to bring a report
Explore
back
options.
for the July 20th.
I was just going to say, I can't answer that question, but it's a very good consideration, so.
So we'll do that, and if councillor of that will, and we make the motion that we'll meet with them and bring it back to the July 20th meeting. Is that, Jim, is that all right with you?
we should be able to get that
All right,
accomplished.
thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Wilbur? Discussion?
I
So-
just, oh, sorry, I
Go
would
ahead.
just like to say that maybe it's a conversation on exploring all different options that could possibly be available.
We'll have
Ways
that
of
meeting.
mitigating the loss
Right.
as well as.
That's right.
Thank you. Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. 3.5, we have report number 15-125 from the Director of Infrastructure regarding the cancellation of the sanitary sewer project tender. Councillor Parslow?
Report number 15125 from the Director of Infrastructure, re sanitary sewer improvements tender be received for information.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Councillor Wilbur? Councillor Rogers?
So I just, these
Sorry.
are questions for you to administration, I guess, but I'm just wondering, by not completing this, how far back are we pushing any future projects in our master sewer plan? But two, what would reducing the scope of work look like versus increased maintenance over time? So, I mean, it's scope of work that we need to have done, we recognize is being done, I'm just wondering if there's, what are our alternatives here that come out
So
of the
through
report?
your worship, the reason for the recommendation from Curwood Liddell to do this as the next piece is that there are trickle-down effects in the system. So all of that's being put off by a year because we don't have the budget to do it this year. So there is a year gap there. Reducing the scope of work, unfortunately, won't accomplish preventing those. The reason we're
Things that
recommending
okay.
just not proceeding, two reasons. First, reduced scope of work won't actually relieve the line between the Miles Road Park and the main line on 17. It won't relieve it. We can't, taking a piece of it might actually have a negative effect of bringing a lot of volume to a construction point.
Okay.
And secondly, we believe the timing of this tender had an effect on the pricing. So we're hopeful that with the project as a carryover, we can get the tenders out again in the
Earlier,
winter
okay.
for spring kickoff, and that we'll get much better pricing. So, you know, for those reasons, we have advised canceling it rather than reducing scope of work.
Councillor Rogers?
That's what I was just gonna talk about, was the timing of contracts, or when they go out. It's, what ends up happening in the construction industry is if everybody is looking, as soon as tender packages come out, those guys are bidding on those things right away, because they want their summer work. With the timing of this coming out, most of those guys already have their seasonal amount of work done. That was one of the aspects that I was talking about, like with our budget, if we could possibly have moved our budget up. But I think there's a will that this has to get done, because I've seen that sewer line. We've cameraed it, and should have been replaced years ago. But if we could direct staff to send this out for tender sooner next year rather than later, I'm pretty sure that the prices will come down, because when you look at the numbers, you go from 1.4 million to 2.5 million. That's a significant amount of money right there. So if there's any way that I'm in favor of the recommendation, but I'd like to be able to direct staff to send this tender out at the start of the year rather than halfway through the season.
Thank you. We're going to tender the Bill Canada reservoir up at the water treatment plant. Can you package them?
This tender has to wait a defined amount of time, and I can't remember how, 6 months? Can you recall? There is a legal limitation on when we can tender this back out.
Oh, I see.
That we have to let pass before we can tender the same work. But we would be looking at tendering it out as a carryover, January, something like that, for spring kickoff, which we can't do unless we have the money in hand, but we'll have the money in hand because it's a carryover. So we couldn't do it this year, but we could do it next
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering if you increase the size of the project, where you say, okay, we're going to build $4.5 or $5 million water treatment plant along with $1 million sewer line, and whoever's bidding on it now is bidding on a much larger project. Does that increase the competitiveness of the bid?
They're not naturally complementary projects. The reservoir project is basically concrete work.
No.
This is basically pipe work. So somebody would be securing a sub-trade, and even if it were lawful, I don't know if that would lead to.
Yeah. I guess just when I saw Timbro contracting, and weren't they the guys that built the reservoir at Loran?
Yeah.
And they bid on this, so I just wondered if.
No, Timbro built. Timbro are the folks who did our main.
Oh, this made sewer contract. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Wilbur?
Just a question, so should this motion pass, then for me to step, do we need to make another motion to do exactly what Councillor Rogers said, direct you to put this out early in 2016, or is that just going to?
It would be clean to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Your the exposure we have is that the main problem with this line is that it is undersized and it is subject to a ton of infiltration of water. So in the melt next year, it's still going to be in the same shape.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
do you want us to, as an amendment to that motion then?
Yes,
For
sir.
You could do
administration?
so. Yeah.
Yep. So you're making that by way of a motion
Yes,
amendment?
that staff will resend it out for tender in
Expedited.
January.
Seconded, Councillor Wilbur. Discussion on the amendment? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And on the main motion, ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. Item 4 is mayor's business. We've had a item I wanted to bring back today, and it's time sensitive. And for that reason, I brought it back under mayor's business today. We've had a very generous proposal put forward by a local business person in the community through to our staff in regards to the Crescent View Park that we got under our plans this year to get the development of that park moving forward. And we've had a local business person come forward wanting to purchase the playground equipment for the park. And so maybe I'll pass it over to administration, to Barry. Do you want to just give a quick update to Councillor Jim?
Go ahead, Barry.
So the individual has come forward through the process. As council knows, we did public consultation. Draft drawings of the park development was put together with that input from the community. We have been waiting for this capital funding this year to proceed with park development around the playground, some green space area, flattened green space area, and trees, shrubbery, and some benching. I would say that this individual has been come forward, would like to accelerate that process, and it's a very generous donation on her behalf to purchase she would outright purchase the playground. Our commitment would be to ensure the playground was prepped, the pea gravel area would be prepped, and that our purchase to commit the side of that would be 3 swing sets, which is about $2,000, all within our budget. This individual has done this. Why it's come through this process is that in order to meet her tax deadlines and her ability to purchase this, it has to be done within the next 2 weeks. All of the drawings, for those councils that might want to see it, it's identical to the Ron Pettigrew School. playground purchased through Henderson Playgrounds, certified CSA, everything would meet all of our standards. And certainly this individual has some ideas for helping further enhance the park. I have met with a couple of community people in that neighborhood. I've walked up to the park when anyone's been in there since Saturday. I showed them the diagram, and I think they would be very happy with this being an asset. And the only caveat she would ask for is that a recognition of a small sign indicating that she's purchased it through a company in the park.
Nice.
So, as I say, we brought it back here because if we waited till July 20th, it just wouldn't make it for a time frame.
It would meet her time frame of the ability for taxation purposes of purchasing.
Jim?
So what I would need is a motion from council to accept the donation and provide a charitable receipt.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Schumann, seconded by Councillor Wilbur. Now, this is a matter of public record, so I haven't said her name, and I don't know if she's concerned about the recognition.
So her name will be public because a charitable receipt is going to be issued.
Yeah. So it is Tanya Marshall from Quality First Aid, and so we really appreciate, obviously, the generosity of the business community supporting our community in such a way, and so it's a great gesture, and we really appreciate it. So thank you. Further, any discussion on the motion? You ready for the question? Sorry.
I'm just wondering on the value of the playground, if we need to waive the tender policy.
We should have, by the end of the day, Tired for the record, Henderson Playgrounds will be providing back for a quote, but I believe it's $35,000 to $40,000.
And our policy doesn't apply to donations.
Donation.
Yeah. For instance, the new bridge that Rotary's donating to us.
Thank you. Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Media question period?
No media?
None. And item 6 is recess to close. We don't have a close. Motion to adjourn. Wilbur, Schumann, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you so much, everybody.